Energy US niggas, Ethiopian kings, we bring things. Ooh. Energy US niggas, Ethiopian kings, we bring things. Them some lyrics I wrote back in 1994, maybe 1992. Yeah. Hey, yo. Get the Anchor app, y'all, so y'all can listen to your boy. For real. Y'all can get the raw, uncut news. Yeah. Get the Anchor app. The African American male imprecation. One thing for certain is that the African American male can look forward to two things every day of his life: being an African living in America. Of these two things, one thing that the African American male, one of the implications is that the African American male can expect to be disrespected all the days of his life. Number two, he can be expected to be served a whole bunch of "you ain't shit" all your life. You ain't good enough. Two things that black men will be served all the days of his life is a bunch of disrespect, a big fat dose of disrespect, and a big fat dose of "you ain't good enough." He will be served this from the time he wake up till the time he goes to sleep. Yes, he will. The only rest he will have from such emasculation and degradation is when he sleeps. For when he wakes up, he is served a bunch of disrespect and "you're not good enough" from his job, from his work. And all of this is a ploy to keep you working for someone else, making someone else rich at low wages. You're not good enough for that raise. You see? When you go to ask for that raise, you could be the best producer on the job. You may have a problem with attendance. You will not get that raise because somewhere you're not good enough. You may work for this company 10 years and there's people who've worked there 6 months who haven't put in none of the work that you have. And this person, if he walked a straight enough line just so this person can get placed above you, they will. Because you're not good enough. they're constantly looking at the black man. And when they see him, they see negativity. You see? They look and expect the worst in him. They look for the worst in him and they expect the worst in him. It's just kind of ridiculous. He's not good enough. And which is very disrespectful. Because if the African American happens to have any DNA, any inkling of DNA from the children of Israel, then this particular stock of people are the first city dwellers and builders. And within their ancestry are those who were the first city builders. So, there's no reason by nature should you have a hard time dealing in any city on planet Earth up under anybody's reign or rule. Because your ancestors created cities. Okay? It is the Israelites who created reading, alphabets. There's an argument, was it the Phoenicians or the Hebrews? And I bear witness to you that they are the same people. For the Israelites, the Phoenicians, the Ishmaelites, the Edomites, a couple of other people shared the same blood and pretty much were the same people genetically, just different families in that gene pool. But you're constantly served a whole bunch of "you're not good enough," you know, and a whole bunch of disrespect, because you're telling a man whose ancestors created reading and writing, which are and arithmetic, because in that gene pool also is Canaan and Egypt. Those were the others that I was talking about in that Israelite pool. These people are genetically the same people. They are family. They look alike, walked alike, talked alike, influenced each other. They were the people who came up with reading, writing, arithmetic, mathematics, science. There's no way that people of such stock cannot be good enough. I remember as a young boy, I had all of these great dreams and desires, you know? And one of the first things that I wanted to do was I wanted to be a drummer. You know, I wanted to play the drums for the church. But the church that taught me how to play, as long as I was a member of that church, I wasn't good enough. They already had their drummers. And they drummers were teaching you. You were learning what you know from watching them. There was no reason for them to let you play the drums. They were real strict, didn't let the children, you know, play around on the instruments and, you know, try to figure this thing out. That church didn't allow that because you were not good enough. I took what I learned to other churches and they were amazed. They would pay me I was talking to a preacher today about that and why I left that particular church, or it was actually a fellowship of churches, why I left that particular, the Pentecostal churches, because they wasn't paying us. They wasn't respecting us. They wasn't treating us right, and they was controlling. They didn't want us to grow. Some of my friends, the church were great musicians, and the church stopped them. They stopped them from going to other churches and out into the other Christian world and spread their gift to the Christian world at large. They kept them right there confined within the doors of that church. But when I took that talent that I learned there, and I'm not going to say any names because it's about 2 or 3 of them that I was raised in where I learned my craft. And I took that craft to other churches, and I ended up playing drums for some of the greatest gospel singers you ever want to hear. I could tell you stories about how I played for Rance Allen, me and Roderick Red Edwards, which actually was a great drummer and organist himself. I could tell you how, playing for Oscar Hayes, how I've played for evangelist Esther Smith, when Oscar Hayes was a gospel legend himself. I could tell you how playing for Oscar Hayes, I've played for Karen Clark Sheard and Greater Emmanuel's Choir, and how Mike Brooks was on the organ, and me and Kendall Williams was on the drums. I could tell you how I played for many, Dave Lewis, many, the Sounds of God, just the Sounds of Heaven, but I played for both of those groups. Those were the guys, Sounds of Heaven, those guys over there at Trinity. I played for a lot of different groups. And when I went back to this church and they found out that I was playing for legends in gospel music, then I was allowed to play over there, and by that time, I had moved on. But that church served me a whole bunch of, you wasn't good enough. I could think about how when I told people I wanted to be a rapper, and I was served a whole bunch of, but you ain't good enough, or you'll never make it. Today, I can tell you that I am a pioneer of Detroit hip hop. I have about 7 albums to my credit, and a shitload of underground tracks that I've made that have leaked out into the public in my generation. I've influenced several artists, my man Boudin, what's up to you? I've influenced cats from the Cheddar Boys, work with those cats, Cheddar Boy Malik, P. Frown, Agony, these guys opened up the doors, for what modern day hip hop is today, But all throughout my career, I was served a whole bunch of, you're never gonna make it. If it wasn't for me, Detroit hip hop wouldn't be what it is today. There would be no Sada Baby if it wasn't for me and my influence and contribution to Detroit hip hop. There would be no 42 Dub, if it wasn't for guys like me and Cheddar Boy Malik, and guys like my man from Mercenary Killers, Greg Irby, if it wasn't for cats like that, cats like Esham and Awesome Dre, cats like Merciless Amir. We was the guys who opened up the door, for Detroit hip hop. We opened up the doors for cats like Cheddar Boy Malik and them, and he was appreciative of all of that. And he understood that. And all of these other cats that's out here now were influenced by what the Cheddar Boys dropped. So it was a chain reaction. But I was served a whole bunch of, nigga, you ain't good enough. Nigga, you ain't gonna make it. I was one of the first rappers, a handful of rappers that was making their own records and was making movies and shit and in a television series, Bosses, and what was that movie, Killing Your Enemy? My first rap single, Child of the City, the album, The Abyss, the EP, The Abyss, the rap tour, Detroit Red, Detroit Red Dangerous. I could come up with just all of this work that I had done. And a lot of people always told me you weren't gonna make it, but today I am the grandfather of this thing to most people unbeknownst. I was told everything that I've set out to do, I was always told that you was not going to be good enough. You're not going to make it. I remember as a little boy, I was telling people that I wanted to go to college and that I am going to go to college. How you going to do that? We black folk, we ain't got no money. This is back in the 80s, the mid-80s. And I remember the older folks and the people in the generation, I was Generation X, so the people from the baby boomers, and those that were stuck between the generation of X and baby boomers, how those people laughed at me. Nigga, you talking about going to college? Man, to them, they thought that was something that rich people did, or you had to have some money to do. And they knew that we didn't have that kind of money. So I told them, man, I'm going to go to college and welfare going to pay for me to go. Man, them people laughed me to scorn. You hear me? My uncle, his girlfriend, my mother. And I mean, just all of the older people, from my mother's generation, her brothers, and the friends and the older people that was around who heard me say that. For a lot of people in that generation were high school dropouts. Couldn't fathom going to a college or a university or anything like that. So I told them that I'm going to do it, because I had to be like in the 9th grade or something when I said this. And somewhere in high school, I came across a pamphlet that talked about the TIP program. And it talked about how there were all types of government grants that have been out here, for people to go to college, black people, or people who was born poor, and people that was born on welfare and stuff like that, how they can, if they maintained at least the 2.0 in high school, how they can get government grants to go to college. I know what I read. And I began to tell these people these things, and these people just laughed at me. I remember my uncle's girlfriend, who was just a couple of years older than me, who had just recently graduated from high school as I was entering it, just thought that was ridiculous. And as this person graduated, she graduated with like great grades and stuff, and this and that. But when she got out of high school, she was working at Kentucky Fried Chicken or something like that. So, as I could have been maybe no more than about 13, 14 years old, and I couldn't understand. She may have been about 17 or 18 maybe, and I couldn't understand, how did you, go from high school, getting all these good grades in high school, graduate, bam, you're on your way. And then when you get out, you immediately start working at motherfucking Burger King, and the other time you got is spent chasing my motherfucking uncle. You know, a girl like you, don't you know that you could go to college? She didn't know that. And she was a part of those that thought what I was saying was ridiculous and stupid. You know, and that's because this society has always served black people, especially the black man, a whole bunch of disrespect and you're not good enough. You know? I can't count the women that have turned me down in my lifetime, making me feel as though I was not good enough. You understand? And a lot of these women, actually, it was the contrary. They were not good enough. In fact, most of them were not good enough. But all of the black man's life, from the time he wakes up, he gets up in the morning and, he just slept real good and got up, and soon as he gets up, he's stressing to prepare for this day so he can go to work, so he can deal with a bunch of manipulation and a whole bunch of just crazy, retarded shit at work. Disrespect and bunch of you're not good enough, just so he can come home, punch out, come home, and get served a whole bunch of you're not good enough and disrespect. And it comes from, your kids, your wife, your husband, more so I'm dealing with the black man here, so we can X the husband out, because ain't no man's marrying men. So, my topic of discussion today is more so about the disrespect and you're not good enough served to black men, because sisters get a break, in their blackness. Sometimes they can forget about their black. A white man can come to them with some money in a proposal and they'll forget all about their blackness. And I'm just going to leave that alone. Back at the ranch. When you're dealing with the black man, he served a whole bunch of disrespect and that you're not good enough. And like I said, it's from the time he wakes up till the time he goes to work and, deal with all of that crap at work, and then when he comes home, he gets off work and he comes home, and the wife, or if he comes home to his mother, whatever, now your mother say, a wife say, can you bring something from the market, on your way home. The ridiculous part about that is a man have worked 8, 10, 12 hours, sometimes 16 a double. And for anybody to ask that man to do anything when he come off work, it's disrespectful. It's disrespecting the fact that this man had to do all of these hours working up under the conditions of a disrespect and you not good enough just to come home. Basically all of that, what I just did is not good enough. I still have to go to the market, baby, or mother, after I done did 8, 10, 12 hours at work, and you just sat at home and did nothing? Even if I was the only one with the vehicle, you mean to tell me you couldn't find another sibling, cousin, uncle, niece, aunt, nephew, friend to run you to the market? You just sat here 8 hours doing nothing. But I gotta come home and then start, after I done work for this motherfucker at work, now I gotta come on and work for you. I think that is a great dose of disrespect, you know? And it is disrespecting and not regarding anything that you just went through as a man. It just disregard you doing what you gotta do, doing what it takes to be done, so you can provide food, clothing, shelter for yourself, for your family, so you can provide and work towards a happiness and a unity and a strengthening of you and your family. And everything you did was not regarded. Because you still have to come back and do other things. When you get off work as a man, you shouldn't have to go to no damn market. When you get off work as a man, you shouldn't have to come home and clean up the house. Unless you live by yourself, you know. When you go to work as a man, you shouldn't have to do any of these crazy things, you know. You should have somebody glad that you out there being a man, empowering your family and making it all possible so it all can happen. But you're not getting that respect because whatever the hell you just spent the last 8, 10, 12 hours doing is not good enough. It's not good enough. You know, you're served a whole bunch of disrespect. You can count throughout the course of a day the jokes and all of the belittling, berating jokes that are shared amongst the black man, all to belittle and to berate the black man. You could say jokes that are just as funny, uplifting and empowering the black man. I could tell you a story of a guy I knew. This guy, I knew him because I had bought a home. And he was the previous owner of this particular home, you know. And I had bought the house out from under him because they wasn't paying taxes. I think the brother went to prison or some shit. And I just was out looking for properties to buy, so I bought the house or whatever. And once the brother got out of prison, the brother came back to the house and he wanted to buy the house back from me. And whatever happened that subsequently he didn't produce the cash to bring forth this house, bring forth his desire to getting the house back. So I ended up keeping the property. But the young brother was a young street nigga, and they was involved in the streets real hard. You know, a lot of, and they was also involved in the Detroit rap game. Some young guys who came up much after, me and City G. That's the guy I was talking about, Greg, Mercenary Killers. They wasn't in our generation. They were some guys who came much after us. And, somehow the brother, by him not really, falling through with his end of the bargain of wanting to buy or produce the cash for the house, I guess he went and bought him another house up in Flint. And when, he finally went up there, they bought the house and they were going up to Flint to have a party, like a housewarming party. And on their way up there, they were cracking. It was about 3 or 4 of them. They were all in the car and they was on their way up to Flint and they was gonna, go up there and get it in. And one of the brothers, was the butt of the jokes, And I guess all of these jokes, all these belittling and berating jokes, at some point, that which is funny, at least to one person, stopped becoming funny. And everybody laughing and going forth and all of this foolishness. But all of this belittling and berating of the black man and emasculating of a black man. Yes, it's funny. You people are tickled to death. But there's one black man, at some point, this stuff is not funny to him anymore, and he took it as disrespectful. So what the guy did, what did he do? He reached out, got a gun, and he killed the guy who I met, who bought the house going up north. He killed him, and I think his brother, the guy the guy who was in the back seat, he whipped out a gun and he boom, boom, he killed the 2 people in the front. And the other guy who he killed was his own brother. Okay? The picture that I'm trying to paint here is that the black man has served a whole bunch of disrespect. You can listen to comedians and all just kind of crazy shit that go towards the emasculation and the degradation, the beration, the berating, the disrespect, you're not good enough, all serve to the African American black man. And why is that? Why is that? Well, the answer, through all of my research, the only thing that have made sense to me was something that I've read in the Bible. In the book of Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, and I look at starting around the 15th verse, it said, "But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe, to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. Cursed shalt thou be in the city, cursed shalt thou be in the field." Wow. That's quite the opposite of what Fred Hammond was talking about when he made that song, "I'm blessed in the city, I'm blessed in the field, I'm blessed everywhere I go." Only way to get that, according to the Bible, was that you listen to and obey the commandments of the Lord thy God. Because if you don't, then it would be the quite opposite of that. Cursed in the city, cursed in the field, and cursed everywhere that you go. Cursed shall be thy basket and thy store. Cursed shall be thy basket in the store. Hold on for a second. We got a caller in. Shalom, shalom, shalom.
Hey, what's up, bro?
What's happening?
Not much.
Hey, you just called me, man, and you just called in, man, on the podcast while I was doing the podcast on the Yasha Ben Israel Tadario Whitfield show. Would you are you willing to sit in with me, my brother?
Yeah, I can stick around. Yeah.
Oh, great. So I'm talking about, this is Deacon Mashallah. You know, he's calling in and sitting in with us on the Yasha Ben Israel Tadario Whitfield show. Back to verse number, what was I at that? I was at verse number 17, where it said, cursed shall thou be, cursed shall be thy basket, and cursed shall be thy store. When you think about this, think about that. Cursed shall be your basket, and cursed shall be your store. I could think of many African Americans who have not claimed Israel. And when they have went into stores have hired people as like secret shoppers and all of this kind of crazy mess to walk around and see if you're in the store stealing. You know, you're the purchaser. You're the one with the basket making the purchase. And you're cursed even in the market. You know, nigga, hurry up and buy. The purchaser, the man with the basket. You watch movies. What was that movie? Was it Boys in the Hood? Hurry up and buy. Don't get drunk by drinking gin and juice in the hood. What was it, Minister?
There's a Menace Society.
Yeah, you know, hurry up and buy. Hurry up and buy. Cursed shall be your basket. You know, cursed shall you be in the store. I can remember even Black Oprah Winfrey. Or was it Oprah Winfrey who went overseas into one of those expensive stores and shops and they tried to accuse her of stealing?
Yeah, I think was it Too Late Sex with Avenue, something like that?
Yeah.
Overseas.
The richest woman and one of the richest humans on the planet. That's cursed in your basket. Cursed in the store. These are the things that occur when the African American disobey and not listen to the commandments of the Most High. Now, Minister, what this is about, and I'm talking about in this podcast here, I'm talking about how the black man is he is guaranteed to be served a big fat dose of disrespect, and nigga, you not good enough. From the time he wake up till the time he go to sleep. Till all while he at work from his boss, and the job that he has to spend 8, 10, 12 hours to do, just so he could come home and somebody disrespect him. Whether it be his child, his mother, his brother, his sister, his dad. Somewhere what this man is doing is just not good enough. You know, I was talking about how all of the things in my life that I've ever dreamed of doing, somebody have always told me I wasn't good enough. Man, I've even thought about even doing bad. Fuck it, I'm finna become a gangster and sell dope. You're gonna get killed and you're gonna go to jail. Damn. I mean, if I said I want to be a rapper, I want to be a preacher, I want to go to college, I want to be a teacher, I want to be this, and whatever the fuck I said I want to do, ain't good enough. Then I said I want to be a thug. That ain't good enough. I'm showing the people why this is so. Why the black man is served a great big dosage of disrespect. And nigga, you not good enough. Okay, so I'm going back here to where I left off at. I left off at the basket. Okay, he said, "Curse," verse 18. "Curse shall the fruit of thy body, and the fruit of thy land, the increase of thy kind, and the flock of thy sheep." The disobedience of the Most High's commandment, it brings curses in our bodies. It is due to the manifestation of disobeying the commandments of the Most High God. All sicknesses is a result of sin, but people, especially the African American man, cannot understand this. Okay? And as we go further, I'm going to prove that. Cursed shalt thou be when thou comest in. Cursed shalt thou be when thou comest in, and cursed shalt thou be when thou go. You have to excuse me, that was somebody else calling in, but that was not an Israelite. So we're gonna let that. I had to let that go. So cursed shalt thou be when thou comest, and cursed shalt thou be when thou goest out. Cursed everywhere the African American man go. Cursed shall he be, and cursed shall he be when he come in, cursed shall he be when he go out. Basically, the only way that this man is going to get rest is when he sleep. Didn't I just say that this man will be served a whole bunch of disrespect from the time he wake up to the time he go to bed? From the time he wake up and go out into the world till the time he comes back into his own sanity. He's going to be cursed everywhere he goes. This is why. Why is this? Because the African American are the children of Israel, and the African American man is the representative and the closest thing to God. And the power structure that be, especially those amongst our own selves who don't know this, is constantly there to bring us back down into the box of satanic heathenism. It's the crab in the barrel mentality. Okay? It talked about the cursing of our flocks, the cursing of our bodies, okay? Curse when we come and when we go. The Lord shall send upon thee cursing, vexation, and rebuke in all thy setteth thy hands to do, until thou be destroyed. Man, don't that sound pretty much like what I just said? Why is it that everything that I, as a black man, have dreamed of doing and wanting to do, that people have always taught me, oh man, you can't do that. You can't do that. I even remember when I first came into the Israelite game, and I was teaching people that, the African Americans are the real Jews. Man, you can't be teaching that. Man, you can't be teaching that. No. Everything, man, that I've ever set out to do, people have told me that you cannot be doing this. Don't this stuff sound like the curses that was set upon the Israelite man? What do you think, Deacon?
Yeah, it's like you said, the constant rebuke, the constant repudiation, especially when we set our heart, to set, our heart desire. It says the book of Psalm chapter 37, verse 4. It says, delight yourself in the Most High. He shall give you the desires of your heart. You understand? So, when you delight yourself in the Father, He gives you your heart's desire, and somehow you were to relate it to the people around you, your loved ones, they still trying to find some kind of fault. You understand? They still trying to find some kind of way to take preemptive metrics of you making forward progress. You see what I'm saying? Because they just contend with this shit as like, Jeremy, if kill might not be the same day word. You understand? So everything that you brought out so far, man, is pretty much on point, especially talking about the black man, about how the black man is, nobody, we talk about before, there's nobody that is more scrutinized than the so-called black man. And it's just like the point that you brought up, because we are the closest thing to the Most High as far as its spiritual, celestial features, and, it's disseminated as we speak.
Yes. Hallelujah. Let me finish this out here. Thank you, my brother, for... hey, man, great, man. I want to finish this out. I only got a couple more verses. And then, I'm going to end the podcast. This is my first podcast in a while. And you see how the Most High just sent, man, the deacon. He sent the deacon a call, Yasha. I mean, could no better person have called us here and blessed us with their voice from the Most High than the deacon. Let me finish this out, deacon. So, as I get back down to what was we at? Okay, I was at 20, where it talked about how the Lord shall send upon thee cursing, vexation, and rebuke. That's just rebuke, just like the deacon said. That we constantly fed this rebuke and all day, and this vexation. And all that thou have set thy hand to do, everything that we have set our hands to do, it's a whole bunch of disrespect and degradation, and you ain't good enough attached to it. You can't be a good worker, you can't be a good parent, not the black man, he is just labeled and looked at as just no freaking good. Okay? And the scriptures say this will be done until thou be destroyed and until thou perish quickly. And because of the wickedness of thy doings whereby thou hast forsaken me. I could think about the drug gang and selling crack, the mentality that it takes to even get into that. It comes from a whole bunch of disenfranchisement and you being served that you ain't good enough to do nothing else but this. The black man ain't shit. This, that, your daddy ain't shit. You ain't shit. You ain't gonna never be shit. And then somebody give you an opportunity to go out here and to do this, and you out here it's wicked, it's bad, but you're gonna get your money. And then all of a sudden, and now you set your hands out to do that, and now you destroyed in it. So even when you looking to do good and to do bad, you're going to be destroyed. The system is set out to destroy you in it. You get killed, you go to the penitentiary. It's all set out that way. These are the curses. This is why the African American male is served this great dose of emasculation. This great dose of disrespect, this great dose of nigga, you ain't good enough. It's because he really is Yah Sha'al, the one that shall rule as El and for El and with El. He is the Prince of El. And the whole thing is to keep him away from that. Keep him away from those commandments. Because it is through those laws and through those commandments that he embraces that El, that power, that might, that strength. Okay? Going down to verse 21, it says that the Lord shall make the pestilence cleave unto thee until he have consumed thee from off the land. Whether thou goest to compass it, period. I think about the coronavirus. And I think of all of the African Americans that are dying from the coronaviruses. Almost all of the people that are dying from corona are non-Israelites. And corona has been here a year. And I've only heard of only 2 Israelites catching corona. Because all of the other black African Americans, who are the same people, but they're not hearing these commandments. They're not obeying these commandments. Therefore, the pestilence, the corona, clings to them. The eating of the pork is a breaking of the commandments, is a not hearing of the commandments. And the eating of the pork, the worms, parasites, the grease, the mixing of DNA that shouldn't even be cross-mixed. All of that compromises the immune system. And when you come across corona, the body can't even fight it. So therefore it clings to it. There's only 2 Israelites that I've heard of that caught corona. One of them is Jermaine Comfy Grant. Have you heard of him, Deacon?
Yeah, Tazadakia.
Yeah, Tazadakia.
Yeah, ICGJC, something like that.
Yes.
It's like Church of God Jesus Christ.
Yes, and he was labeled as a wicked Israelite. And when he was on his way to the penitentiary, the federal penitentiary, for being a wicked Israelite leader. The feds got involved in his wicked leadership and felt that he deserved federal penitentiary. And the week that he was to turn himself into the federal penitentiary, Jermaine Comfy Grant came up dead from corona because the pestilence clinged to him. Now there's another Israelite, a great man, good guy, one who I will call an old righteous man and a pioneer, Elder Eliyahu Boy. He caught corona. When he caught it, he was about 90 years old, and he beat it. The pestilence did not cling to him. With this corona, I've been telling people there's a balm in Gilead. There's a balm in Gilead. And it's all, and in order for this balm to work, it has a lot to do with the hearing from God and acceptance and doing of his commandments. And largely, his commandments is mostly dealing with diet. Am I right, Deacon?
Absolutely.
Most of his commandments consist of diet.
Absolutely. Yep.
So,
that's true.
I've been into the Israelite movement about 3 decades. And I'm 48 years old. I'll be 49 in about maybe 4, 5, I'll say about 6 months. I'll be 49. And out of all my years as an Israelite, I am here to tell you that it is due to the disobedience of the laws of the Most High, Yahweh Elohim, the commandments, and not understanding that we are the children of Israel is why these curses cling to us. It is a curse for the black man to be disrespected as anything other than the ruler of El, or the ruler with El, or the ruler for El. Anything other than that is great disrespect. How you going to tell the man who families come from bloodlines of the first city rulers and builders, the writers, architects of reading, writing, arithmetic, science, archaeology, architecture, that he's not good enough? The sons of God, how can you tell him he's not good enough? I'm getting ready to wrap this up, you all, but I got a couple more scriptures that I want to, to bring this home with. So I got down to verse 21. Verse 22, it says, the Lord shall spite thee with a consumption, and with a fever, and with inflammation. The Lord will smite thee with a consumption, and with a fever, and with inflammation, and with extreme burning, and with a sword, and with blasting, and with mildew. And they shall pursue thee until thou perish. If you understood anything about what kills the African American, there's two things that both Dr. Sebi, Layla Africa, Ben Ami, and anybody who's into holistic healing have understood. There's two things that kill black people. And all sicknesses and diseases that he come across are latent with these things. And that is mucus and inflammation. Cancer, mucus, inflammation. Pneumonia, mucus, inflammation. High blood pressure. High blood pressure is because there's an inflammation because the arteries are clogged with mucus. Would it talk about a consumption? Didn't the scripture say something about a consumption? Mucus. Didn't the scripture say something about an inflammation? And all of this stuff is due to bad diet. I'm going to wrap this up. I promise y'all. I promise. Just bear with me. So, down in verse 23, and this is where I want to stop at. It says that, and thy heaven that is over thy head shall be brass, and the earth that is under thee shall be iron. And thou shalt, the earth, let me repeat that again. He said that the heaven that is over thee shall be brass, and the earth that is under thee shall be iron. We as black men, African American, Afro-Asiatic, Israelite men, always find ourselves stuck between a rock and a hard place. Ain't that what that scripture sound like, Deacon? You stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Exactly.
Let me break that down for you. He said that the heavens shall be like brass over your head. And the earth that is under thy feet shall be iron. Man, you stuck between two hard places. Everything you do, you will be stuck between a hard place. And it's largely due to the systematic disrespect, the systematic emasculation, nigga, you ain't good enough mentality passed amongst the black man. This stuff is a curse, y'all. And I'm glad that you all came in with me tonight. You know, the deacon, I'm glad you called Doc. I'm getting ready to sign out. You know, I think you are, Deacon. Is there any final words you like to say?
Well, what you about to say something?
Well, we only got like 30 seconds.
Well, you know, when I called, you know, I wasn't under the impression that that was going to be into the podcast, and this is a great surprise for me. So to me, it's an honor to be in your presence, Jeremy.
Oh man, thank you.
Yeah, so somebody that's academically formidable, you know what I'm saying? So it's very, very much an honor, for real.
All right. Well, I'm about to end the podcast, family. Layla Tov, Israel. Layla Tov, that means a good night. Layla Tov, Hamishpakat Israel. A good night to the family of Israel. And we out of here, folks. Signing out, Yasha Ben Israel for the Yasha Ben Israel, Terry Whitfield, Tadario Whitfield Show. I love y'all. Stay with me for the next one. We out.